Hi, I'm Siobhan. Jess and I have done an experiment. Today's lesson will be on the Stage 2 Material World outcome on substances changing state. And it looks like this. We will be looking at the effect of heat on different substances. In the explore phase, we had a safe and controlled play with chocolate Easter eggs. We held them in our hands and realised that the heat of our hands made them melt. We then brainstormed some other things that we knew that melted. We thought of butter and wax. But how long do they all take to melt? In the explain phase of the lesson sequence, we used technology. We entered an online simulation. This allowed us to see what happened to each of our chosen substances when they were heated. They reached a point where they began to melt. We discovered that each substance, in fact, has a different melting point. This made us wonder, which substance would melt the fastest if we burnt them all at the same temperature? Would it be the chocolate, because that substance had the lowest melting point, or would it be something that we didn't predict? So in the elaborate phase, we performed an experiment. The experiment was to find out if the substance with the lowest melting point would melt the fastest, and if there was any correlation between the degree of melting point and how fast each substance would turn from a solid to a liquid if it was kept at the same heat. For this experiment, the independent variable is going to be the different substances that we melt. We are going to keep the heat, the pan, and the weight of each substance the same as a control. For our dependent variable, we are going to measure the time it takes for each substance to melt. The equipment that we need is chocolate, butter, wax, scales, a knife, a pan, and a stove. And to measure the time, we are going to use an app on our phones. We weighed each substance, so they all weighed 13 grams as a control. We used our knife and our scales for this. We then melted each substance on our stove till it turned into liquid and kept the temperature the same throughout. Here is our experiment. Here are our results to the nearest second. The wax took 1 minute and 23 seconds to completely turn into liquid. The butter only took 56 seconds, and the chocolate took 1 minute 34 seconds. This is not what we predicted. I wonder, could we take this experiment further? Does this mean there is no correlation between degree of melting point and the speed it takes for the substance to turn into liquid? We know that the candle wax had a melting point of 60 degrees Celsius, the butter of 50 degrees Celsius, and the chocolate of 35 degrees Celsius. We will now graph our results to make it easier to see the correlation. This would be hard to do without technology. So we can see we've got the title, both of our axes are labelled, and we are ready to graph. From this graph, we can see that there is no straight line relationship between the melting point of each substance and the time it takes for it to turn from a solid to a liquid over an open flame. I wonder, what happens if we use a different brand of butter, chocolate, or candle wax? Will we get the same result?